It only took about 3 weeks. The Gibson USA version's here. Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. The model we're talking about tonight is the 2025 Noel Gallagher Signature Les Paul Standard. So no, this is not the custom shop edition that we were just recently talking about that the Gibson Garage in London only crafted 25 of to mimic Noel Gallagher's guitar that he was using for the Live 25 tour and sold each of them for around $20,000. And now you can find them on Reverb ranging anywhere from like 80 to 120K. This is the vastly more affordable edition that's available worldwide now. So this is a Gibson USA release. So that means it's not custom shop. So this is like any 50s, 60s Les Paul standard, just with a few additional specs to make them unique. And they're pricing them at $3,000. So as compared to a regular P90 Les Paul standard, that's about a $400 premium. You can decide whether you think it's worth it or not. As of the time of recording, the initial batch of these is sold out. However, this is not limited edition. They're going to make as many as humanly will sell. So do not pay premiums unless you need it for like a birthday present at this particular point in time. But there's a few things that make this guitar unique. A, the most eye-catching has to be our chrome covers on the P90 pickups. That's really sweet. But don't forget the poker chip. The little thing that says rhythm and treble there, that is also a chrome material. And look closely at your pick guard. It's not just that it's black to match the finish and you get the black plastics of the knobs. It's multi-ply, meaning it has 5 layers of plastic, black, white, and then a final black. Whereas if you look at any of the other 50 standards, they don't have that. That's borrowed from a Les Paul Custom, so it just adds to the unique charm to this thing. And it's an all ebony finish. But our next difference is actually up here on the headstock. We've got Grover Tuner stock, and we have a decal over here of Noel's signature on the back side of the headstock. There's one more thing that you really need to know about this, because say you're not a big Oasis fan, you don't care about the Noel association. A reason why you might buy one of these to modify it is the only way to currently get a P90 equipped Les Paul standard with a 60s neck profile. Because if you go to Gibson's website, they only have the 50s P90 standard at this point in time. And you can get them in a couple of cool colors, including a tobacco sunburst. There's a really new cool British racing green that we'll be reviewing shortly. But there is an all ebony version as well as a Warren Haynes signature if you want some boosts to your P90 style pickups. But all of those have the larger neck profile and don't have all the other special features that we were just talking about. You're just a few part changes away if you always wanted a 60s neck on the P90 Les Paul. So this release is cool to me in that aspect, but besides just our guitar, there's also a hard shell case included at that price. It's nothing special. It's just your regular Gibson brown case with the standard rectangular latches. And it comes with the multi-tool, polishing cloth, starter strap, case keys and Gibson app, warranty information, and pre-pack checklist. And for historical preservation, the original price hang tag, if you buy it at the Gibson Garage anyway, and the box tag that not everyone will get, but whoa. It says hardware nickel. But yeah, I was reading the spec sheets online and it said it was chrome to match the P90 covers. That's something else that kind of made this unique. So I guess we'll have to take a closer look at that over on the Workbench, which, my friends, is where we're headed now. Well, let's just say the Gibson haters are going to have a real heyday on this one. Probably one of the poorest fine detail craftsmanship that we've seen on the show in a while. But let's go ahead and go over it. If you're curious what it would look like without covers on it, there you go. It's straight ebony. Cream would look nice too. But these are not utilizing special wound P90s or anything. It's just your regular rhythm P90 soap bar in the neck and the lead soap bar in the bridge. They read 7.83 in the bridge. Neck position, a little hotter, 787, and together, 393. With our standard dual volume and tone controls, one for each pickup set. Note that they do have the little pointers on the edge of the knobs. It does blend in quite nicely though. But speaking of the pickup covers, if you were curious if it was just a coated plastic material or actually metal, it is metal. I'll let you hear it. So that's cool, but I would imagine at really high frequencies, it could potentially make the pickup microphonic if there's enough buzzing. So definitely make sure you get that screwed down. But speaking of screwing down, our cavities themselves are quite fascinating. You might notice, Why are they different colors? That's because the neck pickup cavity is a little bit lower and goes down to the mahogany body. Right over here in the corner, you can see where the maple top stops and then the body begins. It's marked EB in here for Ebony, the finish. But coming over here to your bridge pickup route, it looks all white because we haven't gone through the maple top yet. You can see you've got just a little bit before your multi-piece mahogany body begins. I just thought that was fun to see. Then we've got LPS, Les Paul Standard, 6 for 60s neck. And I'd imagine the P9 is for P90 NG Noel Gallagher. That's a fun cross-section to look at. But generally speaking, when you first tear this thing apart, it has base plates within it. So you wouldn't normally see those markings unless you remove them. And I was curious what this little ridge was right here for. But putting this back in, it makes sense. They purposefully left that there just to give that a little bit of a ledge to rest against. But these base plates then allow the pickup to be installed within the body. You've got one screw going through there, and then this particular one utilizes springs to help set your height. So that means we're utilizing these two holes. Now, if you want to, you can also install mini humbuckers in here. That's what these outer two ones are for. But now it's time for my biggest critique. Right away, I noticed this. In my opinion, those routes are too large. You can see the body straight through. My only thinking behind this is maybe they thought the metal covers would be thicker and they wanted to account for that, but that's too much of a gap in my opinion. Now, does that affect anything? No, but it's just something that kind of bugs me. Now, looking closer at our hardware, I can agree. The thumb wheels here are definitely nickel. You can see the difference. For me, I always have to see them side by side to know nickel from chrome. You can see the nickel's just a little bit more dull, but yet these look chrome to me. And then the bridge, I guess I could go either way. I'm just not going to make any official comment. You guys can be the judge. It's just a regular Gibson ABR1, installed Gibson USA style with the bushings within the body. And we have the lightweight tailpiece done up by API. But I was really curious about the poker chip, so I popped it off real quick. It is indeed metal. Again, just like the pickup covers, sometimes it's just a coated plastic. But these are indeed metal. What do you think, heads or tails? Heads. And here's an up-close look at our custom-style pickguard. In case you didn't believe me about the layers, there you can see 4 of them, but don't forget about your 5th black one. And as per usual, we've got our little felt pad back here. On this particular example, it doesn't seem to press against the finish, so I don't, at this time, see any reaction spot like sometimes you will. So if you wanted to remove it, it would just be that hole that you have to live with and the one on the edge. Now, as far as the fit and finish, gotta remember, it's the ebony color. It's very unforgiving, shows polishing swirls and scratches. But some of these just seem maybe a little bit more excessive than usual. Like you can see a scuff there. I only bring it up because this will be sold on my website after my review's done if anybody's interested in the demo unit. But along the edge, I also saw things like where the neck joins to the body. Usually a line doesn't form right there to become super visible for a couple of years. I also noticed another line forming right here where the maple top joins onto the mahogany body. I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm just letting you know. In case you were curious, yes, they are using a chrome reflective output jack plate. Thankfully, the side that you see while playing, there's nothing too much going on over here. At the time of recording, I'm looking to see if I can see the center seam line, because sometimes you can if you get it in the light just right. I do not see it, but I do believe that to be a 2-piece maple top. And it is spec'd out as a solid mahogany body yet, so we didn't change anything there. Then we've got that mahogany neck with a rosewood fretboard. Now, full disclosure on our fretboard, I did go ahead and condition it because it was very light and dry. That's something you gotta do on pretty much all new Gibson. And not just Gibson products, many a new guitars. I mean, you gotta remember, when they're building them, they're trying to make them as dry as possible. That way they don't have shifts while building the instrument. And while at first glance, the fretboard looks good, there's a lot of tooling marks on this one. The conditioning process kind of helped obscure them a little bit, but you can basically just see some digs around each fret, lots of scratches. And like right here, almost every fret around this general area has a small gouge like right before it. Sometimes it's easier to see that right here. You can see what I'm talking about, where the binding's just like slightly uneven due to them sloping it down or something. Oh man, there's even a slight ding in my binding right there. And I also noticed that the finish around the nut has a small checking line, and it's just a a little bit ugly. It looks like somebody might have used some pencil lead in the nut, but we do have a little bit of black finish bleed right there. As far as neck specs, quite wide, 1.72 inches at the nut. But as soon as you bump off the neck, it goes down considerably. It's almost like the nut is just a little bit too wide for this neck. That would explain why the finish kind of wraps around it in a strange way. Maybe that needed slightly shaven down before installed, because the neck itself is that usual 1.7, then 2.08 at the 12, 0.85 first fret neck depth, and about 0.95 by the 12. There's supposed to be a 12-inch fretboard radius, but if you really come down here, you can see it rounds off a little bit more down here. Maybe that's what kind of caused some of those tooling marks. And then we've got our 24 3/4 inch scale. Here's a look at that neck profile at the 1st fret and the 12th fret. Just a slim tapered C. Now our headstock looks great in low lighting, but when you get it in direct lighting, you can see there's like vertical lines across the entire top and a bunch of various scratches. Now, to be fair to the factory, when I was unboxing it, there's like that cheesecloth. I think this actually scratched up the headstock while in transit because it has a similar lined material to it and it feels quite abrasive. So once again, no, if you want to buy this guitar from me, there's some very fine scratches and lines up here on our headstock. And in fact, there's a little bit of hazing to our truss rod cover. I tried to clean it off the best I could, but that might have even been slightly reacting to the lacquer. But it's just our usual stuff up here. Gibson mother of pearl logo, Les Paul model silkscreen, truss rod, shows our mahogany neck, all looks good there. And you saw that right, it's blank. They put his signature on the back of the headstock as we saw earlier. Now I've got it all put back together. You tell me, does the gap in the pickups catch your eye? And I went back to check the spec sheet, and sure enough, it actually does not say what the bridge is. Looking at it side by side, I do believe that is still nickel, and they just called this aluminum, but that looks more chrome-like to me for its top finish. So, something to keep in mind. But let's continue our documentation onto the backside. So, at first glance, yeah, looks okay, right? Whenever you look at a Gibson lacquer finish like this, usually you will see some mild streaks. Sometimes that's just lacquer sink into the wood grain. That's par for the course most times. However, I really hate seeing this. I don't know what it is. Is it a not sanded good spot? Is it an employee's hair? Did a wood chip get stuck on it? But there's surely something underneath my finish there, and yeah, don't love that too much. At least the wiring channel looks pretty clean. You've got your Gibson branded pots with orange drop capacitors. All standard stuff nowadays. There's another look at your output jack plate. Regular strap buttons, the large kind. The other one's up here. And a quick peek into our toggle switch cavity. Both of these are utilizing black back plates. And now our neck. It's another one that looks good at first glance, but when you get it in the light, you notice a lot of stuff. So there appears to be like maybe a small ding. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a ding. It just feels like something got stuck in the finish. You can't feel it, but you certainly see it. And then down here, the finish is like a little bit hazy, like it got scuffed against something. There actually is a slight feel difference between this nice glossiness and then something that, you know, it feels like somebody took a little bit of steel wool and went ch-ch-ch. So that's a little bit of a disappointment. And moving on to the face of our headstock, we can see our Grover tuners, which is something special. You don't see that combined with the P90 pickups every day within Gibson USA. It was produced on the 189th day of 2025, initial batch, production number 195, made in USA. And here's a closer look at Noel's signature. And all said and done, my example weighs 9 pounds, 10 ounces. So slightly over-routed routes, mystery thing on the back, some fine scratches, tooling marks, maybe some dings and not fully buffed on the back of the neck. I would consider that a failing inspection on the fine details, but none of that should affect play. So let's go ahead and plug this one in and hear how it sounds. gotta say, my favorite positions on this are the middle. Then the neck. The bridge just sounds a bit thin for the clean tones. But I bet it'll distort pretty well. It works great for that soft poppy rock. Yeah, there it is. Surprisingly, it's actually the headstock. I thought that might be the pickup covers. It does seem to have like a little bit of extra honk to it. I suppose that could be one downside to metal pickup covers. They're gonna, pick up the sound a little bit more if you happen to hit it. But generally speaking, I don't think you're really gonna be affected by that too much. Do you guys hear that slight, almost flubbiness to that center position? I don't get that with the bridge. Then the neck. I don't know, maybe I do. It might just be placebo effect, but I really think the metal pickup covers actually affects your tone. It sounds a little bit more metallic. I know, seems cliche, but it's got an interesting tone to it. Just out of curiosity, I went back over to the Workbench and I removed the bridge pickup cover. Let's see, does it sound different? chime in the comments section what you think. Unfortunately, I can't A-B it right here. I think it's just a slightly brighter sounding guitar that you could potentially tame with your tone knob. So there we go, the new 2025 Gibson USA Noel Gallagher. What are my final thoughts on this? If you've been waiting for that P90 60s neck combination, I know I got really excited when I see the Warren Haynes came out and they called it 60s Cherry, thinking it had the 60s neck. But no, this is that guitar that you want if you were after that. But as far as the tones, I thought it was quite bright sounding. Now, whether that comes down to our pickup covers or just how this particular one is, I'll leave that up to you. You can watch the video and form your own judgments. Cosmetically, this is a gorgeous guitar. I really like that chrome mixed with the ebony, and you just have the single-ply banded binding along the top. They could have really taken this to the extreme and also gave it an ebony fretboard and then do chromed out trapezoid inlays. If you want to check out a guitar similar to that, you might enjoy this episode next, the Les Paul GT. But all right, troglodytes, we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.